think I'm recording. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Before I get started, there's a huge anniversary coming up, the 100-year anniversary of the assassination of Talat Pasha, the former Grand Vizier, former Minister of the Interior and Grand Vizier of the Ottoman Empire, at the hand of one Sogomon Talerian in the streets of Berlin, where Talat, an escaped convicted war criminal, was being given safe harbor by his World War I allies, the Germans. He was tracked down and assassinated by a covert operation of Armenian infiltrators and spies. And when Sogomon Talerian was assigned the task to execute justice upon this criminal. Well, 100 years ago, coming on Monday, March 15th, that is the 100-year anniversary. And so my Armenian historian has forwarded me this announcement / invitation to a webinar, and I just wanted up front, before I go over headlines in my daily podcast here, I just want to invite you all to join this. It's the Armenian Film Foundation and the National Association of Armenian Studies and Research present New Perspectives on the Shooting of Talat Pasha in Berlin, 1921, after 100 years. A webinar with Eric Bogosian, Carla Garpedian, Stefan Ihrig, and Philip Sands. 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. Now, Eric Bogosian is is a Hollywood actor, screenwriter, and probably one of the most prominent Armenians in that field. Carla Garpedian is a documentary filmmaker, and Stefan Ihrig wrote a book called Justifying Genocide. Let's see, it says it right here. Stefan Ihrig, author of Justifying Genocide, which is actually the very first book recommended to me by my historian, Armin. And it's a good read. Anyone who's interested in this subject should read that book. You should also read Eric Bogosian's book. He wrote a book called Operation Nemesis. So Operation Nemesis was the second book I read. The court transcript was the first book I read, and then this book, Justifying Genocide, was the third book I read in the beginning of my research. All right, I'll put a link in the description below to the YouTube, or you can register on Zoom to be a part of the actual webinar, but it will also be on YouTube. You can watch it live or later, because it'll be posted there later. My historian, Armin, is going to be registering, and we're going to see if he can get some questions in the Q&A session. But, I mean, I have contact to these people. It's not like we're on the outside really looking in. I have a historian that knows this guy, Stefan Ihrig. I have Carla's contact information. My partner has Eric Bogosian's. We've reached out to his agent, etc. That's all beside the point. Let's get on with what I want to talk about today. I'll read a few headlines, but then there are, again, a couple articles I already want to read. Armenia President's staff issues statement stating that Armen Sarkisian will apply to Constitutional Court. Armenia Opposition Homeland Salvation Movement calls on citizens to join major rally tomorrow at 4. Yerevan, father of 3 electrocuted at electric substation, dies on the spot. Yeah, electrocution is instantaneous death, pretty much. 2 girls commit suicide after jumping off roof of tall building in Baku. I did read this. I clicked to it. It didn't give any more information. It just said a couple girls, one was 16, one was 17, committed suicide. Didn't say whether they were Armenians or what the motives were. It was just notification news. Armenia Opposition Movement Coordinator. There is news that police are being brought to Yerevan from provinces. Karabakh President convenes enlarged session of Security Council. Here's the one I read. Armenia MOD, Ministry of Defense, hosts quarterly meeting of chaplains. So let's go to that. That's right here, actually. I already have it pulled up. Obviously, this interests me as a Christian. Anything dealing with the Armenian church and what's going on there piques my interest. Newly appointed spiritual leader of the Armed Forces Armenia, Archimandrite Moses Sargsyan, chaired the quarterly reporting meeting of the Chaplains of the Armed Forces at the Administrative Complex of the Ministry of Defense. The participants of the meeting discussed several issues related to the organizing of spiritual service in the Army in order to increase effectiveness of the activities being organized for servicemen, and certain tasks were given to the chaplains. I have no idea what any of this means. I don't know what the spiritual service or what the activities being organized for servicemen. I don't know if this is prayer meetings, if this is Bible reading, or if this is, I have no idea. But it just, the United States has chaplains as well. So I'm fascinated by this. Moving on, look, the Pope visited a destroyed Armenian church in Iraq. I mean, this is all today. Pope Francis visits destroyed Armenian church in Iraq's Mosul. Before leaving Mosul, Pope Francis made a private visit to the destroyed Syriac Orthodox and Armenian churches, San Martin wrote on Twitter. So here's some pictures. Now, I don't know which church this is. I don't know if this is all pictures of the Syriac church, Syriac Orthodox, or of the Armenian church. I don't know. I went to look it up. But I Googled and Wikipedia. Oops, that's not the one I want. I looked for churches. This is Mosul, Iraq. Let me zoom out. This is that part of the world. It's right here. This is all formerly Armenia right here. This is Armenia today, but all of this was Armenia. And so, there's a lot of Armenians all over this area. And so I was just looking up churches in Mosul. So I'm not sure which one of these is the one when you visited. It sounded like you visited a couple. So the Pope is on it. All right, finally, I just want to read this. I came across this in another Armenian newspaper or website, Masis Post. And this piques my interest because it just gets back to the history of this horrific event that happened 106 years ago. Locals remember Kurd awarded medal by Pope Pius XI for protecting Armenians fleeing genocide. I'm going to read most of this. It's a short article. Let's zoom in. Zakho, Kurdistan region. This is in Iraq. When Armenians fled the Ottoman Empire's genocidal campaign during World War I, a Kurdish tribal leader in Zakho embraced them. Locals still remember the man who was awarded a medal in 1925 by the worldwide Catholic Church's leader at the time for his life-saving work. Mohammed Shamadin Aga Salvan played a pivotal role in sheltering Armenians fleeing between 1916 and 1918. He was recognized by Pope Pius XI for his work protecting Christians from brutality. In 1925, the Catholic leader awarded Salvan a medal. During the Armenian Genocide, the systematic killing and deportation of Armenians by the Ottoman Empire in the early 20th century, approximately 1.5 million Armenians were killed. Along with the Turks and other peoples, a number of Kurdish tribes, mainly as part of the Ottoman army, participated in the killings of Armenians during the genocide. Other Kurds, like Salvan, opposed the mass killings, hiding and sometimes adopting members of the ethnic group. Nearly a century on, Salvan's descendants have proudly kept this award left by their ancestor. This is the award presented to my grandfather, late Mohammed Shamadin Aga Salvan, by Pope Pius XI. Saad Muhammad Aji Aga told Ruda on Thursday. Despite all the hardships, displacement, and difficulties our nation saw across different periods of time from 1958 to 1991 and to 2003, and from 2003 up to now, we have kept this award safe and passed it from one generation to the other. According to Salvan's grandson, the leader was the mayor of Zakho in the 1920s. Here it is. This is the medal. And the official, I wonder if, this must be in Latin. Given to Muhammad Aga. The award of Salvan came after the Virgin Mary Assyrian Church sent official correspondence to the Vatican praising the Kurdish leader's role, giving Armenians shelter on his land and property. Our church was the first to be built in Zakho. In 24 hours, Ottoman soldiers arrived in Zakho from Mosul. Muhammad Aga came to our church to protect us from the attack. Polis Hena, retired priest from Zakho. Over 2,000 Armenians currently live in Kurdistan region, according to Yerwan Nisan, an Armenian community leader and former MP in the Kurdistan region's parliament. The vast majority, around 2,000, are in Duko province, and 200 live in Erbil. Another 800 Armenians live in Kirkuk, a province disputed between Erbil and Baghdad. Residents of Zorokmiri, an Armenian village in Zako, still praise Salvan's role protecting their ancestors who made it to the present-day Kurdistan region during the genocide. My late uncle told me, "Never forget what was done for us by Salvan," said Sarkis Yusuf, an Armenian resident of the village. The constitution of the Kurdistan region recognizes Armenians as a distinct ethnic group, providing them the right to education in their mother tongue education, and reserves them one seat in parliament. There are 6 Armenian churches in the Kurdistan region, 4 in Duko province and 1 in Erbil. All right, I just wanted to... the Kurds during this genocide were really divided right down the middle. In my research and in Soghommon's memoir also, it outlines when Soghomon, I'm going to bore you with this detail, but Soghomon finally made it back to his hometown before the Bolshevik Revolution and the Russians abandoned the front and abandoned the Armenian volunteers. They made it as far as Soghomon's hometown, Erzincan. Erzincan is the proper pronunciation. And when they saw that the retreat was coming, that the Turks were about to attack, that the Russians were retreating, they tried to reach out to Kurdish leaders, and they reached out to 2, I think, that were on the side of the Armenians, that they didn't necessarily pledge protection, but there was a third Kurdish chieftain who joined in the Turkish attack. And so the Kurds were really divided down the middle in this conflict, and some of them were protectors. And there were Turks that protected Armenians as well, but it was mostly Turks. I mean, it was the Ottoman government, which was run by the Turks. Turks and Kurds were massacring Armenians, and some Kurds were protecting them. All right, subscribe, share, all of that. Click like, comment. Bye, everybody.